Hi, Amanda.
Hello?
Thanks so much for doing this. I'm excited to hear about your story. From what I'm familiar with, it seems like it includes some things that I am familiar with: late nights, not so early mornings, and a penchant for wanting to change.
Absolutely. It was a lot of continuous days, I would say. So late nights, early mornings just kind of blurred all into one.
Where do you start in hospitality?
I've always been in back of house. Back of house is my love. I did fast casual as a teenager up front, but found myself quickly in the back. So
What do you like about back of house?
the pace, it really helps with my ADHD because there's not just one mundane task. It's always something different. It pushes me to be organized. It pushes me to be better all the time and like grow.
Where are you now?
I am at Apple Blossom in Denver, Colorado. We just announced my taking over on the 5th. So recreated 5 new menus and have been working really hard to get those rolled out.
Congrats. How are you feeling about that?
Oh, I'm so excited, honestly. I love being in hotels. I grew up, I say, in my career in hotels. I took a break to do Michelin, but then my heart called back to hotels. So here I am, kind of flexing my leadership and kind of flexing what I can do and what I learned from Michelin, and it's amazing. The support I have is great.
How long have you felt like a leader?
For a long time. I mean, from so every position I've been in, I have climbed promotions really fast. So once I was done with culinary school, I got from line cook to executive sous chef in 3 months. So I've always kind of felt like a leader. In my culinary class, I was sous chef of one of our events, but that was also in the midst of my tomfoolery and addiction. So didn't quite make it to the top on the graduation, but always felt like a leader in the kitchen.
What's the difficulty of back of house?
Communication,
How do you control that as a leader?
over communicate. It just comes down to, I mean, it's my dream on these menus, right? So I have to communicate and articulate and show people what I know, how I want the plate to look. So with that being said, it just boils down to communication and open communication.
I think you gave it a bit of a kind term, but how would you describe your tomfoolery?
Oh, what do you mean by that? I should ask.
What was that period of your life like?
Chaotic. It was a lot of not knowing myself. So I knew kitchens, right? So I went into drinking, went into drugs. Well, one particular, um, it just helped me to be in the kitchen all the time. The more I drank, the more drugs I did, the more drugs I did, the more I drank. And it made being in the kitchen 20 hours a day bearable. So,
Bearable but not sustainable.
not sustainable. I went through a lot of roller coasters in my addiction. So, it was very much I'm very in my addiction and then I'll step down. But then I'll have better personal life, better X, Y, and Z, but my work would lack. So more I drank, more I did my drug, the better the more I was in the kitchen. I wouldn't say better. It was unorganized, chaotic, a lot of talking. Um, but it made my career, it pushed it further, I think. Not in the correct way.
Yeah. What was your introduction to that lifestyle?
From the kitchen, actually. So the first time I did anything. It was from my prep cook. He's like, "Hey, do you do this?" I'm like, "I have done it once at a party." And we went in the parking garage where he had his set up, and came back. I got all my prep list done in 3 hours. Not great. Not something I'd be proud of, but it was done. So
And that's something you kept up for a while?
for from 20 to 3 years ago, so 26, 20 to 26, so 6 years of active addiction.
How did you handle that? I mean, both mentally and physically, it's draining on both. So I'm interested to know, like, what was your inner dialogue through those years, and how did you start to notice it shift?
Um, my inner dialogue was really a lot like, well, I'm in the kitchen. It doesn't matter. I'm not front facing. I can be blown out all I want, and the customers won't see, but they'll get great food. Then that slowly changed to very much of an addiction mindset, like, oh, it's just going to be this one for the next 2 hours, and then I couldn't even keep that. And then I mean, I jumped from the beginning to my last 3 months of really bad rock bottom, I'd say. I mean, I got up to work to go party. So there was no partying after. There was no, I mean, there was, but it was just to resupply and get ready for the next banquet at 6 a.m. Right. So that last 3 months was the mind switch, the mind thought switched, because it was very much, I can do it responsibly or in a controlled way. In those last 3 months, there's nothing control about it. So
Some people, when they hear rock bottom, they think a one-time event, as if they're living one way one day, and then something happens, and then the very next day, the change happens. But you can realistically kind of live at a rock bottom. What was life like that for you?
um distant, alone, isolated. Only talked to my coworkers because I was doing drugs with the coworkers. Didn't talk to my husband much. Not husband at the time. We got married after I was sober. Um, but he knew. But um, just isolated. I went to work. So I worked for those 3 months, 16, 17-hour days. Would go home, husband was asleep. Get up, husband was asleep. Go back, go do my drugs, and get through the day. So rock bottom was a long time for me. I mean, I paid my bills. I had a roof, but I wasn't there. I wasn't present.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's another thing that some people struggle with is that you can still be, you know, for the most part, be going forward while being in the depths of that.
I
What
advanced in
what
my career greatly through my addiction. Um, I got all the way
you
to the
think that
top.
kept you in your addiction for a while, longer than it
Mm,
should have?
no, no, I guess I didn't make it to the top in my addiction. I made it to executive sous chef. And then after that, it was rehab. It did keep me in my addiction, probably because it seemed from the outside I was doing great, but from the inside I was just crumbling. I didn't know who I was. I mean, I'm still working it out. I'm 3.5 years sober, and still trials and tribulations, but I can approach it with clarity and with a healthy system and SOPs in place, even in my own life. So,
How do you start to see that another way of living was possible?
um, I didn't. Um, I had uh, I had a conversation with my family. It was an intervention. I didn't see I had a problem. I thought I thought I was the best at hiding it. I thought, but then my parents are very supportive, so they'd pop in to work every once in a while, more often than they usually did. I didn't take that as a clue, same with my husband. So I had an intervention, checked myself into rehab on September 20th of 2021. Um, I didn't love the program, thought it was kind of hokey, but I appreciated the separation it gave me because through the 6 years, I wasn't using drugs completely all 6 years. I'd go in 2 years heavy, 2 years off, X, Y, and Z, right? Um, but it always revolved around who I was around and who, if I didn't find it, if I didn't search for it, I didn't find it, we were good. I still didn't know the drinking, like I never was a good drinker. I didn't know where my line was. So I got over my line way too fast in the evening. Um, and so was never a good drinker. So I really had the problem with the drugs, and my DOC was cocaine. More I did that, more I drank, more I drank, more I did coke. Um, so I kind of I all over the place with this story, but rehab needed the separation because I've separated before. I've left a job before and then stopped using for a long time. And then when I found it again, I found out I liked it a lot. And so I just kept doing it.
What did you feel in the separation this time? Did you feel like it was actually something that you were working on and it wasn't a life that you wanted to go back to?
Yes, it did not feel good. Waking up with dry blood all over your face because your nose bled over the night and and then with the fentanyl scare, I got so lucky. I made it out of this with no DUIs, no arrests, no criminal charges. Um, the most I've paid for my addiction, not only the drug itself, but the $3,000 braces because I lost a tooth. And in all this, I lost a tooth in the front part of my face, so I had braces. $3,000. I'll pay $3,000 to get over an addiction. I'll do that. Um, so yeah,
What did life start to feel like when you achieve a little bit of cleanliness and clarity?
real. That's the best way I could put it. Is just cold stone, just realism and raw, and stuff I've never figured out before. So I'm learning myself all over again. I'm learning my relationships with my family. Um, just a relearning moment.
How do you approach that? Seems like it could be a lot at once. How do you break something like that down?
That's a really good question. I don't really have an answer. Just as they come up, honestly, I'm just now learning how to reorganize and relive my life. I mean, it's hard to approach because I have never approached it. So it's definitely been real.
Yeah, what are you kind of thinking when, life happens in those moments? Because, I can relate. Like things would come up and it's so much easier to just kind of like press on through the night, have a drink, forget about it, we'll deal with that later, and then keep it at bay for as long as possible. I always describe sobriety as kind of like the first door I had to open into this kind of like infinite hallway of doors that I now have access to. And it's kind of up to me to open them one at a time or open a few and just kind of like, work through those things. But how do you feel like you approach life and life's problems now? Like, what does step one look like for you?
Communication, I'm gonna bring it back to that, is just I love talking. I'm a people person, and it's weird being in the back of house and a people person at the same time. I don't like I don't love, it's not that I don't like them, but customer base is such a different monster than back of house. Because back of house, you get to know your people, you get to know your team. So when you have these connections, and when it's cool as a manager, because once you know how someone thinks and how someone works, you can communicate on their level, and then shit gets done. Excuse my language.
You
Um,
can cuss here. It's a safe space.
Great. So it's really fun when it's like that communication. So that's how I approach my problems as well, right? So I will write out. I'm a big writer. Like nothing like just my thoughts, just down on paper. No organization, no punctuation, no spelling checks. Just getting my thoughts down. Then I'll start to organize them, put them in lists. I have 6 lists right in front of me. Like lists are my jam. Um, And then it's just one thing at a time. Pick your highest priority or your smallest task and just one by one, baby steps. I know it's so cliche to say that, but it's just communication. And if you have the support, bring them in. That's what they're there for. That's the biggest lesson I've learned, I think, is utilizing your support system.
Yeah. What's your support system look like?
Oh, my support system is great. I have a very loving husband. Uh, parents that My parents are split, so I have a mom that loves me very much, a dad and my stepmom. They're great. Family, um, very supportive. They come to the restaurant often. Um, Easy to talk to. Not always easy, but they're willing to listen to the hard things.
Yeah.
I mean, they put me through
So
rehab, so that was difficult. That was a
how did
difficult conversation.
I can imagine. How did conversations change with them or communication as a whole? I mean, somebody who is kind of like putting themselves in isolation is now, you know, relearning how to live. Communication's a big part of that. Like, did that feel tough at first, or who kind of like started the conversation?
Who started the conversation in what way? And like in what instance?
And the new life that you're living, like how did you feel
Mhm.
communication changing when you realized that this is a moment that I can be more open? I'm not this isolated
Mm.
person anymore, keeping myself from friends and family.
Um, I think it was a lot of self-advocation. The support system I do have really like they listen to anything and everything I have to say, even from the ramble quotes I do from Disney movies to like, hey, this is serious, like let's talk about this. Um, I think it starts with that's a hard question. I don't know how it starts exactly. So,
Um, well, how does it feel? I mean, does it feel good to have that support system, and even just like knowing that like life can be very difficult when you're isolated, and
mhm.
especially like returning to a life that you know folks just wanted the best for you, but you also don't want to let them in because you'd hate for them to kind of like learn the truth. What did truth telling feel like with this group?
Scary. Scary, but nobody was surprised. So I'm like, well, why haven't I been keeping this all along?
Yeah.
Because they've known. They're not dumb people. So it was scary at first, but then it was relieving, and like, okay, these are truly my people. Like I can truly be myself and not put up a front. Um, it was relieving, but it's still working, right? So I after I got sober, I went. So look back up a little bit. I met my husband when I was 19. So like fresh straight from high school, about a year after high school ish. Moved in with him quickly. I've never really been on my own. So after I did the the rehab and the sobriety for about a year and a half, 2 years, I decided to isolate myself more. I wanted to move out of my hometown. My husband did it. I wanted to do it, but he has built a community here that I would never ask him to leave because it's a great, strong community. And he's adored in the community. So I would never ask him to leave that, but I wanted to experience the move across state lines myself. So I found a great restaurant to work at. James Beard nominee, great female chef. I just moved on my own. And so I stayed sober through all that, but my mental health plummeted so fast. I only lasted 3 months. I had a landlord that was very kind and let me out of my lease um, to move back. I moved back in the middle of the night on Thanksgiving. That was like the first real holiday, and I couldn't. I just couldn't. I needed the support system around me, and I did it. You know, I moved. I can pay rent by myself. Cool. I'd pick the support system. So I don't know. It's still up and down. Like I still have this impulsivity to isolate myself. It's still something I'm working through, and it's still something that I'm very aware of. I still push people away because I don't know why. So it must be tough for my husband, but he's there. He's a rock. So
That's great. How did work change? I mean, obviously you were on kind of like an upward growth even within addiction. How did your approach to work change? How did you become better in that department?
it gave me I had no choice. I had to be better because it wasn't about quantity, it was about quality at that point. And at that point I was executive sous, got my first executive role, and a lot of lessons were learned in my executive role at even being sober, like the boundaries and how to talk to people, when to talk to people, the audience. So it was easy until then because I was on drugs and I didn't care. But now that I have some clarity and I have, a conscience pretty much, I panicked and I wanted everybody to be my friend. And I blurred so many boundaries, so many ways. And so there was still a lot of learning to happen. I just had to be on top of it. Like I have to control actively every minute of my day. So it's about the organization, and in the end of the day it's SOPs, like I have to practice them as well. Even in my life, I have to set routines, and it's so hard for me to follow a routine. So hard. Like my instant reaction when I get up, get out of the house for some reason. I'm up, I'm out, because the last 6 years of addiction, I was out because I wanted to party. But now I'm like, okay, well, I'm at work 3 hours early, and I guess I'm going to get some admin done because what else am I going to do? Right. So now it's just diligently planning and being on top of everything I need to be. A lot of
Did
lists.
you feel a shift in your creativity?
Yeah, actually. I feel like I can articulate what I want now, and I can understand some of these concepts and that I'm thinking of in my head, and I can actually produce it. Like I go based off of trends, right? Like the butterboard is my favorite thing to do right now because 3 years ago I saw a butterboard on Facebook. So I made it my own. I have 3 different butters we do, house made focaccia, all that stuff. But it's really fun because I can try it, like I can R&D it. I can try it. If I don't like it, I can just try again. And it's just like I don't get so upset where I won't not try it. I'm like, oh, well, that didn't work. Let's try it this way, or let's add this. And it's it's clarity for the creativity side of things because like yeah, I can articulate what I want now, and it makes
That's awesome.
sense. Yeah, it's really cool.
What other what other gifts have arrived through sobriety? Have you found any like new hobbies? What do you do with any of the free time that you have?
Um, I am currently searching for a lot of hobbies or any hobby that will land. I have severe ADHD. I know I mentioned that earlier, but it's one of those like I'll manic do something for 2 weeks and then drop it for forever. So I have a lot of those projects started. I'm really into art. I really got into the pop punk scene in Denver. Local music in Denver is phenomenal. The community is so supportive, so friendly, non-judgmental, and like their music is just relatable, and it makes me feel like I'm not alone. Like my husband's way more into music than I am, but being a part of it and being around it just makes me feel like they're proud of me too. So it's just like my friends that I've made, and I've never been a big friend group person. It's been me and like one other person. But expanding that, I've felt nothing but love and appreciation, and they're genuinely excited for what I'm doing because it's not an office job, and it's fun to flex a little bit that I worked at a Michelin star restaurant for a year, and some of my friends actually got a chance to come see me, and it was like I don't know, it was overwhelming, it was warming, it was like a hug, it was great.
That's exciting. Sobriety can provide those little things too, which I really appreciate. Like you obviously get like really big feelings and big blessings out of it, but even you talking about this kind of like fascination of like the pop punk scene, like even hearing music sounds new, and it's I really
So
love
different.
leaning into kind of like the newness of the small things. Like I'll pick up on lyrics that I never heard before. I'll see moments in movies that like I just kind of like glazed over. You know, I feel like in my drinking days I was only ever half paying attention, and to be like fully in bloom and fully in tune with everything, like those little like micro miracles of a way a song sounds or the way that I'm made to feel. Do you feel more in tune with your appreciation of life and your emotions?
Yes. um the fact that I can remember them. I mean, I go to a lot of shows. It's really hard to remember all the shows, but I'll have memories of what happened there, like um, the memories that create, I will never have to worry about forgetting.
Yeah, that's big. I even
Uh,
really appreciate the way that I like look in photos. Like to see a photo of me without glassy eyes, like it
yeah,
feels incredible.
it's, yeah, I was the droopy eye person. So, and then pupils huge, but droopy eyes because I was drunk. And, um, yeah, seeing, getting pictures of all these bands are great, like, I don't know. It's different. It's it's relieving. Like I don't have to worry about because my thing was like I'm a chaser. Like I am never satisfied. I'm impatient. I'm a very instant gratification, like let's do it now. Let's get it now. That's why cocaine was such my best friend. Is because it was then, there, and right now. So I can relax at a show. I can enjoy myself at a show. I can go to a show alone now, which I haven't done ever since. And I just started recently going to shows alone, and I never cried at a concert. But this last 2, 3 years, I'm like listening and active listening and like feeling other people's emotions. And I cry a lot now. Being sober, it's just the feels are they're bright, they're raw. So
Yeah, yeah, I do too. And it's not. it's not always like a sorrowful. And I think the
Mm,
first time that I kind of like cried when something was, it was like a point in my life where like somebody should cry. Like before, I would have that feeling where I'm like, shouldn't I be
yeah,
emotive right now? Shouldn't I be crying in this moment? And when you can kind of like actually tap in and be like, wow, I feel like I'm in tune with my emotion. I'm displaying what should be happening in this moment. Like that was big for me. So it was like big to feel it and then big to like recognize that I was feeling it. It's exciting.
absolutely.
What are you hopeful for?
Growth, like
What
just
does that look like?
knowing, I don't know, thriving. Thriving looks like to me like I'm thriving now. So it's really hard to look at like I am an executive chef at a pristine hotel downtown. I have a support system, and yes, we go through trials and tribulations, but I wouldn't pick anybody else to go through this with than who I have. So, yeah, yeah, uh,
What do you love about yourself?
that's a hard question.
Take your time.
Um, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. Wow, that really stumped me. What do I love about myself? I I like that I pulled through it. I didn't think I was going to. I'm pretty proud of myself. Excuse me.
I'm proud of you
Yeah,
too.
thanks. I never saw a life that wasn't with using, but I found it and I love it
It's a big discovery. Thank you
very
for
much.
sharing your journey with us today.
Absolutely.